All right, I think I am live. I think I am ready to go. So I am going to get started and talk to you about something that has completely shifted and changed my business. So I am going to double check and make sure that we are good. If you guys could comment and just let me know that you are here. I think I'm good. It's one of those weird things though, where if you're like starting, you're not sure if it's like talking because you're streaming through. So I think I'm good. I think I'm good. Yeah, I see people. Hey, girl. Hey, Jess. All right. So I have the honor of speaking to you about something that might not necessarily be that exciting, but I actually think it's incredibly important to our business to sort of know, well, what is it actually going to cost to be successful at this business? And how do I really grow my business? And how do I not lose my mind as my business does actually start to grow? So my name is Katy Ursta. I have been coaching now for close to 7 years. On the 12th, actually, is my 7-year anniversary. And I can tell you that I have seen my business change. I've seen my business grow. I've seen my business plateau. I have seen it do all of the things. So I really am speaking from a place of I get it. Like I really get what you are going through as you are working to really grow your business. So first, I have to tell you that the trainings in here they're amazing. And even as I was listening to a couple of them in the playback, I just really thought about how much my business has transitioned and changed, and how much great information you are getting from so many incredible leaders who get it, who have been through this and have learned, and they're throwing so many of the mistakes that they have made at you so that you see them and you can make and tweak and adjust accordingly so that you don't make those same mistakes. So I am going to be presenting though today about duplication. I'm going to be talking a little bit about automation and really what your best business investments are going to be as it grows. So I am not able to see the comments as I go. So if you're commenting or asking questions as I go, I'm going to come back to them. I actually am going live, but I am going to be recording this, and I also am going to be I'm just going to be going through my slides because there's just a lot of information that I sort of jam-packed for leaders. And I hope that this information is really helpful, especially if you're at a place of what's going to make the most sense to me in terms of business investments, or maybe my husband is starting to see that I'm spending money on Beachbody and he's really not understanding what I'm spending money or working towards. So what I'm going to be sharing with you is the investments I've made and how I train my team to make similar decisions in their business based on where they are at and how much it actually costs to run a successful Beachbody business. And just background too, I didn't come into this really understanding the magnitude of what this business can do. So if you have not yet listened to Lindsay's training from Friday, and she goes over placement, it really is incredible what this business can do for you, but the magnitude is hard to wrap your brain around. So no matter where you are in your business, know that if you are just continuing to do the things that you're doing that are leading to recruiting coaches, showing more growth in your organization, that is what duplicates over time. And so when you're growing your business and the understanding of what it takes to grow a successful business, so does your understanding of what you need to actually invest in. So Katy, 7 years ago, who was really just trying to get the groceries paid for, would have a very hard time understanding big investments in my business. So I broke it down to explain why I've invested at certain points in my business and why I coach my team to make those similar investments at certain points in their business as well. So I'm going to screenshot this. I'm going to share it over to you. And I have the presentation here. So I'm going to go over this with you guys. So hopefully you can see my screen. I'm actually going to go back into the group real quick. And sorry about that. Building. your Dynasty. I'm going to double check to make sure you guys can see me okay, because I am not sure. Sorry, guys. Just want to make sure I'm good. All right. If you, yep, okay, I see it there. All right, so again, if you guys are asking comments, I will come back to them at the end for you, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so number one, it is absolutely something that we as Beachbody coaches, we preach and we share all the time, that the best investment you can make is in the development of you. So I really, really talk to my team about making sure that one of the biggest investments you can make as a coach is in yourself. So even as I go over these, I want you to start thinking about, where do I see myself in 1 year? Where do I see myself in 5 years? Where do I see myself in 10 years? And start actually thinking about what the vision of what this business and what success looks like to you is going to be defined as, because that's key, because your success is not going to look the same as everybody else's. And that means that your investments are going to be a little bit different too. So today I'm going to start talking about budget. I'm going to talk a little bit about money and numbers, and not in an intimidating way, in a you are a business owner and you should know this kind of way. How we go into that CEO mindset of, this isn't just a little hobby. This isn't just a little side gig. This actually is the potential of being a 6 or a 7-figure business. We're going to simplify those business investment strategies, and we're going to talk about questions that we can ask before we start investing. So, breaking this down, every week you get paid with Beachbody. And every week there are a few things that I do with those investments. So the very first thing that I learned how to do from the beginning is actually give back to Uncle Sam. So I know for tax purposes, just give or take about 30% of that I never claim as my own. So if you made $1,000 this week with Beachbody, great week, right? You're going to put 300 of that away. You're not going to touch it. You're not going to look at it. It is like not even yours. But the second thing I learned how to do very quickly is actually put back into my business. And that was to invest back into my business. So my rule of thumb is always about 10% to 15% of my income goes back into my business. So that is about 40% that I don't even see. I don't even look at as Katie's take-home money. I look at as, this is going to go back to either Uncle Sam, or this is going to go back into my business, because I know that an investment in my business, if it's a good investment, is going to increase my income. Okay. So another example, if you made 500, we're going to take about 150 of that and we're going to give it back to Uncle Sam. And we're going to take another 50 to 75 and we're going to put that as an investment back in our business. So let's talk about like what our strategy is for knowing where to invest our money. So there's 4 things that we're going to think about. Number 1, you're going to start gathering and creating ideas as to where you know or where you think your money is going to be best spent. And then we're going to narrow our focus, and we're going to know what our goals are, what we want to be able to do, and we're going to make sure that our money is being spent on what that focus is going to be. Then we're going to choose our business investments. We're going to specialize probably in one area. And then we're going to delegate the things that we do know how to do, we understand how to do, but we also understand that they aren't the best use of our time. And then we're going to move forward with a plan in place for where our best business investments are going to be. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about 2 things. And this is where people get super uncomfortable, because especially as our income starts to grow, we can get worried that, what if I lose it? You know, what if this isn't a good investment? And what if what I'm doing isn't going to pay off? So I want you to start thinking about your business in terms of this, right? We can try to grab on and tightly hold everything that we're making with Beachbody, or we can open our hands up a little bit and we can actually start receiving more because we're actually putting more into what we're doing. So it's this idea of if you hold your business too tight, and if you try to grab onto everything and do everything yourself, eventually nothing good is going to be able to pour into your own hands. And so there's not going to be this abundance of overflow that can happen in your organization if you're so concerned about the little dollars that are coming into the business. Your Beachbody business is the vehicle. Where are you driving that vehicle? When I think back to my business and the goals that I was setting, I was trying to get just the groceries paid for. I was not trying to, become a 7-figure earner with Beachbody. I was not trying to leave my teaching job. I was just trying to get the groceries paid for. And so bit by bit, as I was learning more about the opportunity, I started to see that the goals that I was setting for were going to be bigger, and the investments that I was going to start making in my business had to be bigger as well. So think about this, and this is going to take a little bit of work, and this is why I made the slides, because I don't want you to just watch this and be done. Because when you watch this, I want you to really jot down where you're spending your money and what you're actually getting a good return on investment in. So jot down, where are you spending your money now in your business? Do you have someone working your social media accounts? Do you have a monthly subscription to Audible? Are you, using the products? Are you using your Shakeology every month? Do you have a subscription to Beachbody On Demand? What are you spending? What are you putting out into your business? Number 2, what areas of the business are you most drawn to? Do you love the photography side of things? Do you love the Instagram? Do you love maybe Facebook? Do you love blogging? Do you love creating freemiums? Do you love email marketing? What are you drawn to when it comes to the business? And where do you want to invest? Where are you saying, I should do that, but you never do? What mentorship personalities are you drawn to? Are you drawn to your Gabrielle Burns? I think it's Bernstein. Clearly, that's not the one that I'm necessarily attracted to, but or Brendon Burchard. Where are you seeing yourself, mentorship wise? What are you most drawn to? And what investment mistakes have you made? Just a side story, when I started coaching, I was not even a year into the business, wasn't making that much money at the time. I had been ignoring these emails I was getting from Pinterest. I thought they were spam. And it ended up, I somehow clicked on something and was running an ad on Pinterest. And before I knew it, I had been nailed for over $600 in a Pinterest ad to a blog post that I did. And I thought it was the biggest investment mistake of my business. I had to explain the $600 cost to my husband. And just those little mistakes happen, but just being aware that you're a business owner and knowing where your money's going. So do you really know where your money's going? Do you know how much money you're putting out each month into Facebook ads? Do you know how much money you're putting out into the products? Do you know how much money that you are maybe spent on these little audibles or personal development books, or even postage? Or do you know where you are spending your money every month? So when you are talking about a CEO, they're really focused on 4 areas of investing. And number 1, the most important, is going to be your personal development. So that you are, every month, you are focused on growing in some way, in some capacity, as an individual, as a leader, as a mentor, as a Beachbody coach, but also as a human, as a mom, as a wife, as a husband, as whatever. There's an area of excellence that goes into that. The second, we are in a social media based business. So social media trainings are important. So I highly suggest that there is an investment being made in social media in some way. Number 3, your network events. as well as business must. Those are your products. Your network events, of course, are your quarterly events that we're all attending, your summit events, leadership retreat, anything that you're doing within your team organization. If there's a leadership retreat that you or your upline is maybe hosting, investing in those, and then as well as specialized skills, which we'll go into as well. All right, so let's break it down. You guys are ready to get into this? Okay, so if you are a business starter, and this is just what I have really looked into, and again, we're looking at about a 10% in our income goes back into our business, 10 to 15%. So business starters, these are going to be the people who are coming into it. They're sort of figuring out what it is, and they're maybe not sure where they want to go with it, but they're learning a little bit more about it. There are still investments to be made. So just to name a few, these are the ones that I came up with. You're going to have your business service fees unless you're military. You're going to have your monthly Shakeology order. I also have my Energize, I have my Performance, I have my Beach Bars, I have my Kids Daily Sunshine. Beachbody On Demand, your yearly subscription, your 2 or 3 wearables, having that product. I always have a hat on if I'm going to the grocery store, just something that you can wear and be able to share. The quarterly events, which are going to be your local events. You're going to have your lighting system as well. I always suggest like a ring light of some sort, because pictures are key when it comes to marketing yourself on social media. A quality headshot, personal development, the compound effect, the slight edge, GoPro, gifts for your first challengers or your first coach signups, small office supplies, and of course your investment in Summit, unless you are a success starter. I'm also very much recommending to our business starters your Shakeology cups, your sample packets for distribution. I always have little samples of like Energize or Shakeology. Also keep Daily Sunshine on hand. My challengers, when they start with me, they get a starter kit, and I do include in there a sample of Energize, a sample of Detox, actually. A lot of people don't know about that one. And a sample of, I think it's the Daily Sunshine, I think is what I have over there. And then a beach bar as well. So I keep those on hand too. So if you are starting your business, these are the small investments that are going to be a must. These are just things that as you grow your business, you're going to want to start with. All right. Let's say you move to Emerald, okay? Or you have coaches who move to Emerald and you see that they're actually doing those vital behaviors. You see that there's like that potential in them. Now the next step comes to, all right, you are on your way to actually building up a business. So here are some of the investments that you want to start thinking about. The must that I would say are going to be upgraded apps: Snapseed, WordSwag, Grids, VSCO, Pick, Play, Post, because you don't want to have those little icons. There's nothing more annoying than when somebody has a really cute post, but then they have like the logo of where they actually like got the image from. I always tell people to take that off. So just upgrade the app. You're looking at a $2.99 to a $4.99 investment. 1 to 2% of the income at that point. I kind of encourage people to focus on maybe moving towards advertising a little bit on social media, whether you're marketing like a freemium that you have to offer, or maybe you are, maybe boosting a post for the first time, or you are creating your first ad on Facebook. These are that small little investment that is going to start being a focus. Maybe right now you're at that point where I haven't really thought about marketing, or I really do well without doing that. That's okay. But this is just some things that I know for me, as it started to grow, helped me create more of a loyal following, helped me create the right audience that was coming to me. I also know that this is where I started to consider maybe having someone help me grow like my Instagram account a little bit. You might say, I'm not interested in doing that. and that's okay. But eventually you're going to get to the point where you're going to want to ask yourself, am I really maximizing my potential by marketing myself appropriately on Facebook or on Instagram? I also want to add too that it's really, really pretty inexpensive to get a good ad going, as long as you're smart about it. But that goes into my next business investment that I'll talk about as well. Lighting upgrade. I have the upgraded account with Canva, and I use Canva for everything. I use it for everything on my team page, everything when I actually create, events, or I have just an image like this. I use Canva for everything. When you upgrade it, you have a few more layout options, and you also have a few more stock photo options as well. You could also invest in something like hotstock.co, but you can get a lot of those free stock photos in here if you're creating the images for like your sneak peeks, anything like that as well. Gifts, again, for coaches, for challengers. The organizational systems of Teamzy, Streak, the Rise Up Planner, which is this one. I don't know if you guys have this. This has been amazing. And for you, if you prefer paper and pencil, this is a great investment too. Forms. I know that I think Wufoo caps you at the number of forms you can have. So if you're still using Wufoo, definitely recommend upgrading that as well. Google Forms. And then also, I think I said Streak. I use the upgraded Streak, so my assistant has access to it. You can get Streak for free though, I'm pretty sure. And then Teamzy is another software system. It's online. So you can just, if you just search even on Facebook, just Teamzy, you can find more. I think it's my social, I could be wrong about this, social team builder is what it's called. So you can actually contact them and see what they do. But they also too, I think I'm getting this right, and I don't use Teamzy, but I think they do a 30-day trial for that as well. So if you want to just test it out, you have that option too. A babysitter. This is when your business hours start to get a little bit more increased. You might be noticing as you become a business builder, you now have a team of coaches, but you also have your current challengers, and maybe you are also working a full-time job, or you have kids at home. If you are home with the kids, you're going to start wanting to get very intentional about your business. So perhaps a babysitter a couple times a week for established work hours as well. Your external hard drive, because there is nothing worse than when your computer crashes and you don't have any of your stuff. You want to back it up. Get an external hard drive, put everything you need on that hard drive, because there is nothing worse than when you lose it. iCloud storage. Your phone, I don't mess around. This thing has everything in it from 2014. So my phone is loaded. It has a huge memory. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of annoying whenever you are trying to take pictures and then it says it's full and you're sitting there trying to delete photos. So I always do. And then in the evening, I just go through and I actually delete the photos that I didn't use for the day. So I have a really big iCloud storage. And this is also the time you want to start thinking about your email marketing. Yes, you can email from the Coach Online office, but I actually export all of my customers, all of my leads into an email marketing software system. And I put a couple suggestions below. You can get the free option of MailChimp. And I think that Aweber has a 30-day trial, and you also pay for number of subscribers. So as the number of subscribers on your list increases, so does the cost of what you're paying for MailChimp or for Aweber. I also use Kajabi. Kajabi is definitely on the more expensive end when it comes to software and email marketing. You can create courses on there. It's a great way to create drip campaigns if you want to run your Coach Basics out of there as well. You don't have to take those expensive systems, but if you're looking for something that you can use in terms of an investment when it comes to email marketing, Aweber or MailChimp. I think there was a Constant Contact that people are using now too, which is another one. A Zoom account, if you're running team calls, it's a must. I also suggest to people getting the subscription. There is a free Zoom account that you can have, but it caps you at the number of people you can connect with in a call. And it also doesn't permit you to go over, I think, like 45 minutes. So at some point, when you're starting to do more team calls, when you're starting to run sneak peeks, you're probably going to want to actually have a Zoom account that is paid for. I invested in a domain name, just katyursta.com from the very beginning, using GoDaddy, and I invested in a logo as well. So these are for business builders. These are for your coaches who are emeralds and are working towards diamond. This is for people who maybe are newer diamonds and are starting to see the potential of the business. And now what I'm going to share with you now is for us. This is for people who are in this group. This is where I invest my money, and it has paid me back big time. So if you're asking yourself, like, if you're not willing to invest in your business, you can't expect that your business is going to pay you off in a big way. Everybody who is in this group, who's leading this group, they have made investments in their business. And these are just some of the ones that I have made. So if you're thinking about the big investments as a business builder, Summit, absolutely. Desktop computer, if you're still working from just your phone, please don't. Please invest in a desktop computer or a laptop of some sort so you can actually put your phone down and be present with your family, so they don't always think you're attached to your phone, and create work hours with that as well. Quality phone with upgraded storage though, as I said, I don't have a fancy camera. My phone is my camera. And so I do invest in a little bit of extra storage so that I have those on there. I also suggest at this time, it's time to start talking about the business online academies. So this is where you're investing a little bit more in online courses that aren't necessarily Beachbody connected or Beachbody related. These are more leadership-based trainings or social media trainings that are online in some way, but they're a training for you to develop a skill in a more specialized area. And this is also the time we start thinking about getting a virtual assistant. And I'm just curious how many people have an assistant at this level, at the diamond level, at the 2-star level. For me, I waited way too long. I did not have a virtual assistant for about the first 4.5, 5 years of my business, which is crazy when I think about it. But I asked myself, Katy, what can be delegated? And I wrote down a list and I said, I can do all of these things, but doing all of these things is not the best use of my time. And in a training that I was at not too long ago, they said, never delegate what you don't know how to do. Delegate what you know how to do, but realize you can't do it the best. And so I think about what are the things that make the most sense for me to actually delegate out. And for me, that was #1, challenge groups. I loved running challenge groups. I am still in my challenge groups, but I also know I can't be as present in my challenge groups as I can with my team. I know that my income is more dependent on growing an organization than just based on those first personal sales. So my challenge groups are run by a virtual assistant, and I go in there every day. I either go live or I just do a quick little pop in, see how everybody's doing, and I communicate with my virtual assistant and I talk to her about the things that are going well. She, though, is the one who is scheduling my posts. She is the one who is telling me, Katy, I think you need to spend a little bit of time, just messaging these couple people. They need a little bit of TLC. Katy, you need to do a live on this. So she is telling me how I can effectively still help my people get results. But I'm not the one in there micromanaging the little things that she is perfectly capable of doing. Now, at first, I was really uncomfortable with this. But then I started to realize I can't do the job as well as my virtual assistant can. And that's the truth of it. She is being paid to specialize in helping my clients get amazing results. She is paid to tell me, here are some things that are going well or aren't going well. She is paid to make sure that she is sending out the content for those challengers, that they are getting the best results. Was this the first thing that I delegated when I first started as a coach? No, but there was a point when I realized I was spending a lot of time on something that I couldn't do as well as somebody else could. Could I not do it? No, it was that I was delegating a task that she was just doing more effectively than I can. So ask yourself these questions, what can I actually delegate? Am I doing my weekly emails when a virtual assistant could be doing them? Am I, posting the team calls when a virtual assistant could be posting them? Am I creating all these beautiful Canva images when an assistant could be doing them? Where is your time best spent? So when I think about my time, nobody can do my live trainings like me. Nobody can do one-on-one mentorship calls with me. Nobody can do content creation like me. So those are the things that I know that I'm not at a point of wanting to delegate. But I also know that there are some things that are just better if I'm not doing them because somebody else is doing them more effectively for me. Hold on. All right, sorry about that. All right, business leaders, and this is what we are, this is what we're working to become, right? And so business leaders, it's not necessarily by how much income you are creating, but it is by the potential you see in the business and where you want to go with the business. And when I started to see myself as a leader, I started to see that I had leaders in my organization who were developing coaches. I started to see that my sweet spot in the business was training other coaches. I started to see that I was a leader because I was growing as an individual. And that is where I started to say, okay, we need to be smarter about how we're growing so that we can make a bigger impact. So a must for business leaders, and I want to get real with you. If you want to grow a big business, there are some big investments that you are going to need to make in your organization. And so number one, virtual assistant. And I just preached about it just a second ago, but just to go back to this, if you are a leader, there are certain things that you do not need to do to best use your time. And even if you are still working full-time, even if you are a full-time mom, having a virtual assistant for me has meant, I'm so sorry, having someone who is just more organized at certain things than I am. They're paying attention. They are my eyes and ears when I know that that is not my primary focus. So a virtual assistant, whether it's 3 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours a week, depending on where you are, start there. And I'm going to be real with you. It takes a little bit of time to train a virtual assistant. And it is time that you are very likely saying, I don't have. But it is very likely that it is costing you a lot more time to not actually train a virtual assistant right now because you're putting so much time into tasks that could be delegated. So ask yourself very honestly, what are the things that I know every time I sit down and do, I'm like, I know that I need to delegate this out. Those are the things that should be delegated out. Another must is a social media specialization training. And that is a training that is specific about building on social media, whether it's your Facebook, your Pinterest, your blog, your Instagram, specializing in an area to learn what is working and what isn't, and staying up to date on those trends. Not just for you, but everything that I learn, I give back to my team. So those team members who aren't at the level of investment that I am, I'm taking what I'm learning and I'm feeding it back to them. So for example, if I invested in Jenna Kutcher's Instagram lab training, I'm learning, I'm figuring it out for me, I'm testing it, I'm tweaking it, and then I'm going back to my team and I'm saying, this is what I learned. This is what we can tweak. This is what we can get better at. And they're seeing me do it so that they can do it too. Number 3, social media delegation. This is the things that you can do, yes, but maybe you don't have time to do. You might invest in somebody helping you grow your Instagram, or maybe helping you answer messages, or they might be helping you respond to polls from your Instagram account. I don't use like the third-party tools, I think it's like Jumper Media. I actually had something happen, so I won't use them. I have heard coaches use Jumper Media, Socials. I forget what the other one is, but there's a couple to help you grow your Instagram. Just be wise and be careful about it. If it feels like inauthentic, don't do it. But if it feels like it's working for you, then that's okay too. And also ads, Facebook ads. I would highly suggest, if you are running Facebook ads and you're kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall with creating a audience, or if you feel like you're creating, throwing spaghetti at the wall with the how-to of Facebook, I would highly suggest working with somebody to handle that part of your account. And they don't necessarily have to be that expensive, but have a budget. Just like I said at the very beginning, have a budget for how much you are wanting to spend on this a year or a month, and in terms of ads or on Instagram, on Facebook. And then if you want somebody to actually run those accounts for you as well. Definitely suggest professional pictures. I always get a brush up. I do about 2 sets a year. Find someone local that you like. There's a female blogger in the Pittsburgh area. I love her. I love the pictures she does. She gets my business. If you're looking at investing in professional pictures and it's somebody who's only going to give you like 12 shots, they're probably not the person for you. You are looking for someone who's going to allow you to take a lot of images and put them onto your social media. These are called branding sessions. I highly suggest them. I don't think I've ever paid more than $200 for a branding session. So just kind of keep that in mind, and ask around in your area to ask like who does branding sessions. And these are great too, because they kind of clean up the grid a little bit. They kind of add little pops into the rest of life as well. Events must. New Leader Conference. The leadership conference that's coming up in October, the team leadership retreat. I don't need to tell you that Summit is a must as well, but I also need to say that I do at least 2 non-Beachbody events per year. I just went to a Kajabi Summit. I saw Shalene Johnson talk, Brendan Burchard, Rachel Hollis. It was phenomenal. And I also learned about email marketing too. I also at this level suggest talking to someone about opening an LLC to protect yourself and the brand that you've created, as well as a financial advisor, especially as you start to see your income grow. They're going to help you figure out the best ways to kind of take the income that you're creating and best invest it, and also where to kind of how to pay yourself. So I pay myself out of an LLC. I pay myself a teacher's salary. I still pay myself a teacher's salary. And that is just because of the way that we have decided to delegate our money and work our income as well. And QuickBooks, you must use QuickBooks to keep track of those receipts. It is like not that cheap. My husband handles all of that, but it is a great way to make sure that you are ready to go when it is tax time. Also, highly suggesting email automation systems. One content specific specialization training. Just like I said, if it's about how to post on Instagram, how to create a great grid, there are so many great trainings out there, and I'll give you a couple in a little bit. I usually invest in at least 2 online business building courses as well a year. And a lot of these courses, once you have them for life. So I definitely suggest that. And lastly, business mentorship. whether it's a community, it's a group, it's a one-on-one, you have a life coach, a mentor, something like that. I definitely suggest some type of business mentorship as well. So as I've kind of broken this down, and maybe you're going through and you're saying, okay, I could do this, I don't think I can afford this. Look at your income and ask where you're actually spending money right now. And are you getting the best out of the money you are spending right now? Or could you maybe take that money and spend it somewhere else? Or if you're saying to yourself, I am using all of my money, if I'm using all of my money that I'm making with Beachbody right now for, you know, paying off my school debt, I'm using it for something else, you have to understand that investments are going to be needed if you want to grow it. If you're not looking to grow yourself as an individual, if you're not willing to grow your business, if you're not willing to grow, there's going to be a cap in what you're actually potentially able to do with it. So ask yourself where you're spending that money and where it would be better if it's not making sense. So lastly, if you guys want to screenshot this, I plan to like share these slides. I hope that's okay, Lindsay, if I do. I just kind of gave a couple of free and low investments in terms of podcasts and resources. These are just a few that I find really, really helpful, whether it is just YouTube videos, Marie Forleo or Brendon Burchard, or just some podcasts that I find great and I'm listening to. I know that Mel Robbins' Take Control of Your Life is the one that I love right now. I'm listening to on Audible. It was very inexpensive. I downloaded that. I used my credit, I think, for it for the month. But also just thinking about some of these things, right? So I network outside of Beachbody. So for me as a blogger, I am networking with other bloggers and I am learning about how to grow my following via bloggers, not just Beachbody coaches. And if you have an area that you want to focus on, find other community groups that you can do that through as well. And then of course your podcast, like what's on your playlist. These are a few of mine that I have that are helping me. I know the free content that Jenna Kutcher has put out has changed my business. I know listening to Amy Porterfield at the Kajabi Summit, just learning about that email automation, anything like that has helped me so much in my business as well. And then the other thing just to think about is where you're going to spend your money. I created a list just based on conversations I've had and just some things that I have invested in myself as well to come up with a list of things that people have invested in who've told me these are amazing, but also that I myself have invested in and have seen the payoff from. So just a couple that I really think have been amazing most recently is Jenna Kutcher's Instagram Lab. It's really so helpful, especially when it comes to content curation. And then Jasmine Star has great free content. Yes, she uses it as a way of marketing her online course, but her free Instagram training is amazing as well. And then also just Brendon Burchard, you can't go wrong with Experts Academy. She works his way. Michelle Myers is a coach in our network, in our business, and she actually has another business, and she has this amazing conference they hold yearly. It's called the Narrow Conference. That's another great one that's amazing as well. So I just wanted to share those couple things with you. But before we go, and I know I ran a little over, so I do apologize, but I really felt like these were just key, like so important. Just thinking about your investment strategy. Number one, speak with your spouse or your significant other, and even your coach. Talk to your coach about the biggest mistakes that she or he have made, so you learn from them, right? Or talk about the things that they've invested in and have paid off. Ask them, like, how much do you find yourself, investing back into your business? And I'm pretty sure that it's going to come down to about 10 to 15%, some years a little more, some years a little less, but set a budget. So right now, set a budget for your month or set a budget for your quarter, and then reevaluate and say, well, where did I make, where did I see the payoff? I'll give you a great example. In January and February, I was running a Facebook ad on coaching, and it was a good ad. It got a lot of feedback. I had a lot of people every day. I was getting applications, but I noticed that I was not having a really easy time converting them into coaches. So I was missing something. And so instead of saying, I'm going to keep putting money out into this, I said, what do I need to do? I need to build trust. They don't know me. It's a very cold market. I need to offer a freemium so they can get to know me. So instead of focusing on the coaching ad, I started focusing on creating a freemium, and the freemium will then become like a pipeline for me to start having that conversation about coaching. So I reevaluate. If something isn't working, I don't get angry about it. I get really curious about it, and I say, okay, Katie, like, how could this be a little bit better? Go over dates, when certain events are, when is summit, when is your leadership retreat, when is the leadership retreat in October, is there an event that you want to get to that is maybe in the middle of soccer season? Go over all those dates and clear your calendar so that you're going to make sure that you are where you need to be. Quarterly events, you need to be there. Summit, you need to be there. That event you've been thinking about with Brenda Burchard for the last year that you keep saying, I just don't have time, clear your calendar and get there. Make those investments, but also have those conversations with your spouse, with your significant other, to let them know where you're going to be. And know that cost. Know what it's going to cost, weigh the cost, break it down, and say, what's the best investment I can make right now in my business? And it might not be your Instagram training. It might not be a Facebook ad. It might not be a virtual assistant, but it might be a babysitter a couple hours a week. It might be the Instagram lab because you can't figure out why nobody is following you. It might be that you want to start your email marketing. And so you might want to say, all right, it's time to focus on Aweber. But I caution you, anytime you are looking at a training and you are watching someone speak and you are saying, I should do that, instead of saying, oh, I must do that, you are shooting yourself in the foot. When you say, I should, just knock the word should out of your vocabulary and say, I must, and then go do. Don't get overwhelmed with everything. Focus on one thing. Focus on one thing, not that you should do, that you must do. So if it is, I have been thinking about email marketing for the last 2 years of my business, I should do that. Stop. Say, I must do this, and go do it. And start it. Start small. Start with, all right, I am going to Google how to export all of my customers into Aweber. And then you go do it. So anytime you say, I should do this, get rid of the word should and say, I must, and go do. Because if you bank all of the stuff you should be doing, it never gets done, right? So we're going to turn those shoulds into musts, starting with one. Just one thing from here. And then logically, just think of your time investment. How much time are you spending on your business where you could be spending it somewhere else? Delegate what you know how to do, but you know isn't the best use of your times. So I hope that all of this information helped. It was a lot, and I know that. So I am going to go in and I am going to see if I have any comments here. Discussion. Okay. All right. Yes, I always think of that. It is a must. Yeah. All right. So I said, what kind of freemium did you use? I will show it to you, Jennifer. I do a freemium where I actually do a self-care, and it is a 3-day drip campaign. So I give them like 3 self-care items. And in like number 4, after number 4, I talk to them about the elimination experience, which is basically like my challenge group. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm creating something that's more for coaching now too, but I am not there yet. I'm glad this was helpful. Do you have recommendations for someone to help create and manage ads? So you can go to Upwork is a really great one, but you just search Facebook management, Instagram management, or just ask in your team pages if anyone is using someone to help them. And I don't know really the best price point when it comes to those things. But I do know that it is incredibly helpful to have someone as long as you're seeing results. If you aren't seeing results, you're probably going to have to tweak the way you're actually marketing on social media. And I'm going to say this too. Cold market is cold right now. People don't like to feel sold to. So when I think of a cold market, I know that I need to build and establish trust. And so for me, creating freemiums are a really easy way for me to establish trust and also have their email. And one thing that I will say in the past year I've seen as a shift is I am doing a lot more with emails than I ever have, because it's a way of organizing, and it's also a way of continuing to have a contact with someone. So where you might be having conversations in Facebook and in Instagram, if you're not taking them off of that platform, well, what happens if something happens to that platform, right? So do you remember a couple weeks ago when Instagram and Facebook shut down? I had a coach sneak peek that night, and it wasn't an issue because I had everybody's emails. So if you are not getting emails, I really suggest that being a big place where you're bringing people over to connect with them via email too. So let's see what else I got. I'm trying to see if I can see all the comments, but I'm gonna mute myself. Let's see. All right. Do you recommend paying for a website? Yes, I absolutely do. I do, Stacy, just because you want to get higher in the rankings. So my husband, actually, this is what he does for a living. He does websites, but from the very beginning, I invested in the domain name and I started blogging from the very beginning. And it's a little bit different now. But in terms of having somewhere to go, if you are a blogger, and I want to explain that too. So if you don't blog, if blogging is not your thing, you don't need to start a blog. You could have a website, and all the website does is actually takes them back to an email collector, or it has them fill out an application of some sort. But I genuinely love blogging. I love writing. So for me, it made total sense to have a website. If you love sharing recipes, you should be sharing them on a website. So kind of knowing what your sweet spot is too is important as well. And I do recommend paying for it right away, because the purpose of that is to also be seen in the Google search engine. And when you're paying for it, Google sees that you're paying for it. So you're more likely to be seen. And I'm surprised my husband isn't coming over from over there to be like, Katie, explain it this way. All right, I think I got them all. I'm really losing my voice. Kate, you do, but write down what tasks you could have delegated. And one thing that I know that has made a difference is if I do a live on Facebook, I know that I can put that live, I can put that on Instagram, I can turn it into a post for Instagram, I can turn it into stories for Instagram. And so I can take that one thing and I can turn it into multiple pieces of content on multiple platforms, but I have an assistant help me do those things. I'm not doing them by myself. So ask yourself, what would an assistant look like to you? What would they be helping you with? Would they be creating weekly emails for you? Would they be doing check-ins for your challengers? Would they be creating content for you? What would a virtual assistant look like for you? Once you have that, map out, all right, how many hours would I like my virtual assistant to work as well? I think I got them all. Yeah, the Jenna Kutcher, it is really good. Open-handed business. Yes, yes, open-handed. All right, I think I got them all. But if you guys, I will add these slides here too for you. I would recommend maybe sharing them with your organization, especially in terms of it's like, oh, what should I be spending my money on? You'll be able to like look back and pinpoint and direct them to what you think they should be doing as well. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. I'm sorry I took up so much time, but it was really, really, I hope it was really helpful. So that's all I got.